Thanks for watching the video. This is Pascal for EMP Reviews. This is a review of Batman and Superman, Battle of the Super Sons. DC Comics villain Starro is the antagonist in this story, and after its appearance and apocalyptic destruction it brought in the Suicide Squad movie, it was nice to see it again in another on-screen adaptation from Warner Brothers. The first part of this video is my extended summary of the events in the plot, and the review by Will and I will begin at the time posted here. Krypton is in the midst of its destruction. Jor-El is finalizing the departure of the ship that will fly his son away from the ending of the planet. Starro attaches itself to Kal-El's ship as it launches into space. The planet explodes and the creature loses its grip once the ship goes into extreme traveling speed. Decades later, Lois delivers reporting tips to her and Superman's son, Jonathan, who does not yet know about his father's secret identity. Soon, the two spend some time together until Clark makes up an excuse to leave. With his elevated vision, he had noticed the Justice League's watchtower falling uncontrollably through the atmosphere instead of its usual orbit around the Earth. As Superman, he fixes some damage to the exterior and repositions the station. He then checks in with Green Arrow, who explains that the station was hit with space debris. He is attacked by an unseen assailant after Clark returns to Earth. Jonathan strikes out at a baseball game, a poor outcome only supplemented by his father's absence to the event. Later, he runs away from Clark when he tried to apologize. Stressed and upset, he accidentally activates his heat vision, damaging a silo. This occurrence prompts Clark to reveal his Superman identity to a thrilled Jonathan, who is taken on his first flight. They eventually run into Batman, as he is giving a good thrashing to the Penguin and his goons. The three eventually make their way to the Batcave, another thrill for Jonathan. Damian Wayne, son of Bruce Wayne and Ra's al Ghul's daughter Talia, enters the area and displays a generally bitter personality, especially towards Jonathan. A general checkup by Batman reveals nothing to be concerned about or what powers can be developing at the moment. Damian's tests are a lot more aggressive, also revealing nothing conclusive, and require intervention by Clark. Superman and Batman also check in with the station and conclude that something is off with Green Arrow and his report, despite his explanation attempts for not contacting the Batcave, as Clark suggested he do after rescuing the station earlier. Later, Batman and Superman fly to the Watchtower and are attacked by Starro through Martian Manhunter. Once Batman returns to the cave, the possessed Bruce Wayne attacks his son, throwing him off the edge of one of the Batcave's platforms after Damian sliced in half a Starro offspring meant for him. Superman, also controlled, reports to Bruce that all of their targets have been neutralized, information Damian comes across soon after, having used a grappling hook to survive his fall. He is annoyed to discover, however, that Jonathan is the only person not affected, as he will have to contend with him to deal with the situation. In the meantime, Jonathan is being chastised for having dealt with a school bully, a fight he won thanks to his emerging strength. He patronizes the principal and quickly meets Damian, who tells him about the Starro alien invasion. The two barely escape a possessed Lois Lane, as Jonathan is forced to attack his mother as she was attacking them on Batman's aircraft. She survives the fall into the pond the boys purposely dumped her into as a safer landing surface, which kills the offspring once she climbs out of the water. They fly to the Fortress of Solitude to examine a portion of a Starro offspring to discover a weakness in the species. Once inside, they are attacked by Krypto until he is tapered down by a simulation of Jor-El, who points out who Jonathan is. After the examination, he describes Starro's Kryptonian origins to the boys, as well as its intentions to overtake the Earth's population and then drain it of life. Jonathan concludes that there must be a hive mind controlling all of the offspring, to which they both deduce that it must be in the tower. Damian and Jonathan use Kal-El's spaceship to get to the station. They soon run into the affected superheroes, and meanwhile, Lois is granted access to meet President Lex Luthor. The boys are taken to Starro, who claims that due to his control of the majority of Earth's population, strife in the world is completely eradicated. The Earth is the first in the plan to take over all the planets in the universe. Luthor warns the world about the invasion Lois informed him about, only to reveal that he himself is infected, thus actually triggering a more aggressive step in the invasion. Lois temporarily disables Luthor and tells Jonathan, hoping that he is seeing this broadcast, that heat is a successful weapon against the offspring. Damian defeats the Flash and Beast Boy in dinosaur form, and is then rescued by Jonathan's heat vision against Martian Manhunter. They then run into possessed Batman and Superman. Switching fathers, Damian incapacitates the Man of Steel using kryptonite, while Jonathan uses his super strength to do the same. Starro reveals himself to the boys and displays that it's not affected by heat vision. Damian diverts its attention with an explosive while they run away. They place all of the Justice League and Beast Boy in spacecrafts and send them back off to Earth. They strategize on killing Starro by burning the entire station in a forced atmosphere re-entry. After Damian activates the engines, Starro attacks the boys. The heat begins to affect the monster, damaging its control on his possessed population on Earth and losing his grip on Damian. Lois takes care of Luthor as Superman and Batman crash on the surface, removing their offspring, now no longer controlled by the Hive. The station continues to burn and starts to fall apart on top of Starro. Damian and Jonathan speak what they believe to be their last words when rescued by Superman in the nick of time. Heartfelt words are exchanged from fathers to sons, including the heroic praise and concept of choosing others above yourself when Starro interferes. The four heroes team up and hurl Starro out of the atmosphere, exploding as a result. The Titans, made up of ex-members of the Teen Titans who expelled Damian earlier in the story due to his aggressive personality, change this decision considering his saving the planet. He refuses the offer, enjoying his ability to do so. Everyone eventually gathers for Jonathan's next baseball game, and afterwards, Damian coins his new friendship, the Super Sons. Okay, oops, let me get my notes. When's the last time you saw the movie? The Super Sons?
Probably like around October, but I've been watching like other people's perspective of it. I mean, I did some research too, like on the, the production side of things, so it's still pretty fresh.
Okay, cool. Okay, so first impressions. Yeah, well, this was your idea, so I'm assuming you like this film a lot.
Yeah, I mean, what I really liked about it kind of captures that spirit of like what the Super Sons were. I read a little bit of the comic. No, Jorge Jimenez. That's the guy who also drew the Batman book and the Justice League. He was drawing for Super
kicks
Sons,
ass.
So.
I love that guy's work, man. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like it captures that, and I like the say the animation. Kind of reminds me of one of the Tron series, and then also too, it reminds me of Iron Man Armored Adventures. So I think it had a nice art style to it. Although my one complaint is like I didn't like the guy who did the voice of Superman. I felt like he was kind of off. So yeah, that's like my little critique there.
Yeah.
And then also he seems like I think he's kind of more like the millennial Superman. Like he almost dresses like too casual, but he's not like super. I just saw Superman wearing like almost like flat Chuck Taylors, but don't seem
Okay.
like it's more of a style. But I think they're just trying to make this Superman more like modern, so to speak.
Yeah, on the one hand, okay, so there is a scene where he says truth, justice, and the American way, which is great because it seemed like DC Comics was trying to reduce that kind of American sentiment for some reason. But so it was kind of nice to see that. On the other hand, there seems to be it's not as bad as Batman sleeping with Batgirl, was it? In that one animated film.
Oh, the Killing Joke.
Yeah, so I think most of the fans hated that, so it's not that bad, but I'm not quite happy with Superman married with children. It's like the Batman, was it Superman and Lois? That show, especially for being on the CW, which as far as I can tell, has not done any good products in a long time. I watched Flash for a while. I got tired of it, and apparently Arrow was good for a while, and I didn't care for that too much. I loved the actress who plays the mother because she was in Kings, a TV show I loved, and she was one of the Borg queens. But other than that, CW has not been good, and so Superman and Lois, I did enjoy it. The whole high school stuff with the kids, I just couldn't take. I like Superman and Lois having that kind of Richard Donner kind of romantic implication, and it's never fully realized. I kind of like that. Yeah, that's I guess that's more the way I like it. But well, let me ask you this. I'm gonna have to look this up. The poor guy that just died, that used to do Batman's voice forever.
Kevin Conroy.
Did he do the voice for this movie?
I didn't think so. They had another Batman guy fill in for him. I did a research on this guy. What's his name? I can pull it up. I think the guy, his name is. It was Troy Baker.
Okay. Oh yeah. The guy from Last of Us. Okay.
Yeah, he actually did voice Batman, and well, this is one Batman video game I played called Batman Telltale series. So
he's played he's played Batman before.
Yeah, and he played the Joker too. Like he was supposed to be a fill-in for Mark Hamill, but it didn't pan out to where they got Mark Hamill back.
Okay, all right. Okay, cool. So let's see. My next question. Yeah. Okay. So I thought it was a little bit. First off, I never heard of Starro before the Justice League, and the animation with him in that movie were amazing. It was really cool.
Oh yeah,
it was gruesome too, actually.
Well, yeah, it's like the opening was kind of intense, right? Because it almost felt like, especially when you saw Green Arrow. Well, you kind of saw Starro off screen, but it almost feels like a horror movie. To where Starro's kind of infiltrating and
the entire planet. Yeah, I mean, well, the beginning was, well, here's another sign that this is what happens when you revisit the same plot point over and over. So once again, they retcon the destruction of Krypton, and Starro this time attaches itself to Kal-El's what do you call it? Spaceship, and it's like, okay, Man of Steel had his own take on it, and there was a show called Krypton, I guess. And I can't imagine that was good, and but anyway, so Starro was and I guess I'm saying it's a surprise casting of a villain for the Suicide Squad, only because I'm not familiar with him, so I don't know how popular he is. I mean, he certainly is as popular as Darkseid,
Well, he's kind of like pretty popular. Once again, you kind of have to read the comics and to see, like, he's kind of like one of those, almost like I don't know if you ever heard of the Brood from X-Men. They're kind of like an alien species, like very symbiotic things. But like, but it's like, well, Starro, from what I remember there was an episode of Batman Beyond where Batman Beyond was dealing with a future Superman, the future Justice League, and eventually the Justice League was kind of taken over by Starro.
Okay.
So that's like my first take and experience of that. But it's
So
like,
wait, so that happened in the comics.
yeah, he's like
no kidding.
He's like a Justice League adversary, like this extraterrestrial being adversary. So
okay, all right. So there's a lore source material for the movie then. Okay, I didn't know that. Okay. Now, okay, well that brings this question here. Okay, so essentially this is a kind of basically the Justice League that Starro is attacking, well, along with the planet, and the universe. But okay, so where the heck was okay, so the Wonder Woman is not there, and then Beast Boy is there from Teen Titans. So that was kind of an unusual kind of switch. I don't know what like in the adventure that you mentioned that you read, like was Wonder Woman in there and Beast Boy?
No, well, you gotta understand. They try to make this more. They always kind of change the Justice League and Teen Titans. Like it's like a rotation. Like so,
okay.
Like the modern Justice League, like this Damian Wayne is like. Well, DC kind of got this trend of like Robin always leading the Teen Titans. Like before, it was like Dick Grayson. I think eventually Tim Drake, when he came along, like in the '90s and 2000s, he was leading the Titans. Now this is Damian Wayne. He kind of leading the Titans. So, but then but you know, it's kind of also retconning too, especially in the main DC universe. I think after DC Rebirth, they kind of made Beast Boy younger. Like Beast Boy didn't hang out with the Dick Grayson Nightwing. Like Cyborg is not part of the Teen Titans. He's with the Justice League, even though he's not in the movie. But this is like DC's way of just playing around. Like they're trying to, like Wonder Woman and Martian Manhunter. I think Martian Manhunter was in this film, but they just kind of out of the picture. The like Wonder Woman, the Flash, you know, the big league characters. Those big league, they kind of out of the picture just for the hell of just having, you know, Batman and their Superman and their kids, and they just kind of. The Justice League and the Teen Titans just kind of making the guest appearance. So yeah.
Okay.
So most of it's kind of retcon for the sake of the movie.
Yeah, and okay, so now because I always thought of Cyborg as part of the Teen Titans, especially since I'm gonna have to look at the release dates, but they made a Teen Titans movie in that kind of anime style. And
that's Teen Titans Trouble in Tokyo that came out in 2006.
Okay. Oh, really? Okay, because I thought it was more recent. Okay, so it's 2006. Okay, because I thought it was during the time of the Justice League movie. I thought it was around that time where they came out with a Teen Titans cartoon movie with Cyborg in it. So I'm like, okay, is Cyborg in the Teen Titans or Justice League?
Actually, I think never mind. I know what you're talking about. That one it's called the Judas Contract. Teen Titans.
Okay.
I think that one has like, maybe this is called the Judas Contract. Yeah, Teen Titans, the Judas Contract, but it's supposed to have like Nightwing, but like and Starfire, but they're kind of like adults. Whereas, you know, Cyborg, like, see, this is DC way of just jacking up the timeline.
Yeah. Well, that's true. They do that all the time because God knows what universe the Joker movie fits in, you know. So it's like, you know. Okay, all right. Yeah, it was kind of. I thought it was a little rough, I guess. You know, like to see Batman punch a kid in his face and stuff. You know, like it got a little. I thought it was a little rough, but whatever. You know, so it's kind of funny, but. Okay, so I thought this was a little bit of a plot hole. So I said, okay, so Damian decides to bring Jonathan to go to the Fortress of Solitude to examine the pieces of Starro to see if there are any weaknesses. While I'm surprised he did that because he already killed one. So he already knows how to, you know, so that I thought that was kind of a plot point, you know, a plot hole. He knows a weakness for it already. So
I mean, but yeah, it's like that's one of those inconsistencies of animation. Like, but yeah.
Okay, so I was glad that they didn't revisit Kent's childhood, because what happens is, you know, they have Kal-El land on Earth, and they just have kind of like a kind of a slideshow kind of thing to just skim through Kent's childhood. You know, we don't need to revisit that again, you know.
Well, to be honest, this really felt more like a superhero movie. I mean, Superman movie than it does like a Batman and Superman movie. Well, mainly it's a Jonathan Kent movie because it's more so about him
and his wife
transitions powers.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Oh yeah, and so like the same way that in Superman and Lois, I can't remember which, because in that TV show he's got 2 kids. So the only one that has powers is the one that's let's say less confident, let's say, basically. And in this one there's only one child, and it's high school stuff again, and he's he did use his powers and stuff like that, and there is some of that in the TV show. But the cool thing with these movies, this one and the other one that I watched for Black Adam when I did that one with Carl, is I can't remember the title for it, but it's Batman and Captain Marvel. I mean, I'm sorry, it's Superman and Captain Marvel fight Black Adam. And
I saw that was I think that was part of All Star Superman. But yeah, I actually liked that little short.
Exactly, it seems that condensed and shorter. They get the point across faster. And on many levels, they're better than the movies, and they're a lot cheaper. Well, they're a lot cheaper. Not to say that animation is cheap, because this is pretty costly.
No,
it's pretty costly, but it is certainly cheaper than Black Adam losing $100 million. So, okay, so so now my criticism with the animation, even though it looks cool, you do lose a little sense of it, because you could tell it's motion capture, so
rotoscope,
yeah,
like like that.
But then, and then again, new stuff comes out, like because I didn't know this, but the Disney guys, like back in the 40s and everything, they reused a lot of material. I didn't know that. But as good as the animation is, and it's kind of like Into the Spider-Verse, and they're working on their second one right now. But it's cool, but it seems like every other frame is missing. It's not like anime where it's like 12 frames per second, but it's not smooth.
Maybe that's just the rotoscoping element of it. Then I don't know what animation techniques they used. I don't know if they used like Maya and or 3ds Max mixed with ZBrush, or or whatever 3D rendering, because it has that blend of 2D, 3D. But
they are maybe it's budget, because clearly they have the ability to make that smooth, because I think I need to rewatch this. The Godzilla, the Planet Eater by Netflix, I think that was a full 27 frames per second, I think. And the animation is probably the only real good thing about that series, those 3 movies, because as much as I like them, they're extremely draining to watch, and they're very destructive. They're very destructive to the franchise as far as the narrative and stuff. Like Godzilla's essentially apocalyptic and trying to destroy the earth in a sense. So that type of animation has the option of being fully 27 frames per second, and this and Into the Spider-Verse is not 12 frames per second, but it is a little lesser than smooth, let's just say. So this Lex Luthor as president, is that something? I should look this up, but is that something that's been done before?
Oh yeah, several times. It was done in DC in the 2000s, and they played that part in the Justice League cartoon. With the Bruce Timm stuff, and then I think there's another one called Batman Superman Public Enemies. That one was 2D. He was president there. I think they did the same thing in Smallville and Titans, the DC, the HBO Max Titans. He's president in that too. So yeah.
Now is that in our world, or is that like an Elseworld kind of thing?
Well, it was in the main DC continuity in the anime universe, and then other Elseworld animation and other Elseworlds live action, however you want to call it. But yeah,
Okay.
Because the ongoing theme of Lex Luthor is like, he's always striving, to be in position of higher power
Oh, yeah,
beyond
yeah.
his company. So
Yeah. He's a megalomaniac kind of guy. Yeah. So, because unfortunately, the Elseworld thing is being done to death now by DC and Marvel. I mean,
well, actually, I don't. I actually kind of like the Elseworld, because the problem with the main continuity, I know we've been talking about this too, is like, because of the social justice warrior concept, it's like it's kind of ruining DC, and that's why you got your little Miles Morales and your like America Chavez. This goes to Marvel and DC. Yeah, it's like these are like the characters trying to integrate into the main universe, and they try to add in these stories and also recycling stories where the fans are just tired. And the Elseworlds is something you can kind of create, and build a different scenario. On top of that, like for instance, I like Sean Gordon Murphy's Batman White Knight. It's a good read.
Yeah.
It's kind of like an Elseworlds version of the animated series in the Tim Burton universe, but still, it's a unique spin and take on Batman than what's going on in the main DC universe. But yeah, that's just my. That's how I see it. Well, as far as DC's, but yeah.
Yeah, because see, that was that's one of the things I mentioned in the Man of Steel review I did with Mario, because the Elseworld Supergirl that we're going to see in the Flash, and as much as I want, I see, I'm not sure if I want to exactly say I want the movie to fail, but I just don't like Ezra Miller, and apparently the initial word on the street is that this Flash movie is good, and I did like the actor who played Zod, so that guy's gonna come back, which is great. But because of the agenda of the three people that Zaslav, who's now running Warner Brothers, fired, because those three idiots were trying to completely remove Superman and Batman, not as actors but as characters, period, from the lineup of DC movies. So they were going to get him replaced by the I believe she's Latino Batgirl, and this Supergirl, and so that is Elseworld stuff,
Well,
and they should, and since this is an Elseworld thing that the Flash is going into, they should have had Henry Cavill in there instead of this weird looking Supergirl.
Well, yeah, but the problem is, I think the problem with DC politics or Warner Brothers just to not get Henry Cavill back, but from what I've heard, like depending on the success of the movie, this could be the DC's like Warner Brothers' last chance to save the DC extended universe. But really, not to go too off the topic here, I heard really, the Flash, even though it's called the Flash, I think what we all know what we want to go see, who we come to see this movie for, is just Michael Keaton as Batman. So 30 years. So,
that's the
I'm
selling
looking forward
point,
to see it. So
and Ben Affleck, I think Ben Affleck is in there too, and it's because I think it was because of The Last Jedi that I started to get interested in the behind the scenes madness that is Hollywood,
Yeah.
And that wealth is never stops, and the Flash has been how long ago did they first announce that sucker, man? It's my goodness,
Well, it was supposed to come out last year, but I think all this mess was going on between the DC Discovery acquisition. AT&T had to sell DC, I think.
Yeah, and then let's see. Warner Brothers is first of all, Warner Brothers is billions of dollars in debt, and I'm like, listen, once you're around, I don't know, $100-200 million in debt, then you're done. I mean, you get people who are $20,000, $30,000 in debt, and they're not allowed to do any more business. But
Well,
these
well, well,
companies, it's like they're allowed to go that far in debt. That's crazy.
well. To be honest, I mean, this country is $10 trillion in debt. So,
Yeah, yeah, I
however, if we
know.
go under, we're fucked.
Yeah, oh yeah. Okay, so I hate when they do this. So the defeat of Starro, once he was defeated, it disabled all of its offspring all over the earth. I think that's the same thing that happened in the Suicide Squad. And that is too simplistic for me because they did the same thing in Avengers. Once Iron Man blew up the hive mind, all of the I guess they're robots or something, or the cyborgs, they all just disabled and fell apart. And
Well, they're not really like cyborgs. I mean, they actually are like I
drones,
guess.
I guess.
Well, it's almost like a beehive, but it's like, but like you said, they got the hive like mind to where, hey, if you kill the queen or something like that, then the drones will die off, so to speak. So
Yeah, and the way I like to see it, I like to see it like ants or bees. I mean, you kill the ant, I mean, you kill the queen, you got to kill the rest of the army, basically. I mean, that's the way I like. It just seems like a simplistic way to fix your problem and stuff. But
but then again, it's like this is like a totally different like alien species that we don't really quite comprehend or understand. I think this is DC's way of being creative. So
I guess it's telepathic, basically.
Yeah, this is the shit you probably would see in like, I don't know, like Star Trek or something, or Star Wars.
Yeah, like the Avengers, and they
Yeah.
they did the same thing in Black Adam and stuff, and there's I can't remember. There's got to be. I try to look it up, but there have been movies, a lot of them, I'm sure, where you kill. Well, there's two things I've seen. One where the king or whatever gets killed, and because of that, the army lays down their weapons. There's that kind of stuff. And then, there's the other thing where, there's the other thing, which is what I prefer, where the king or queen or whatever gets killed, and the whatever force managed to do that, the soldiers, they still have to deal with the army. I think that's more realistic. That's just my preference. Yeah, I think this is a little bit of a plot hole. Okay, so when the affected Batman came back, and then Damian and him started fighting, it seems to me that the affected Batman had the ability to affect Damian, but they arranged it so that he had the opportunity to kill that offspring with the bat knife. And then instead of, because obviously, and in addition to that, because obviously Batman is bigger than Damian and certainly a lot more agile, instead of killing him or whatever, he threw him over the edge of that platform, and of course, Damian was able to escape death using the grappling hook and all that stuff. So I'm just saying that Batman could have easily defeated him, and that brings into the other point. The other point is that those two boys were able to outmaneuver not only Batman and the rest of the Justice League, but Superman, which is ridiculous. So.
Well, you gotta understand from a plot standpoint, like, it's their movie.
Yeah,
they gotta win. So
it's plot convenience, basically.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
It's like, I don't know. I mean, even though Batman could easily kill all his sidekicks. He could have easily killed Nightwing because he trained all of them.
Yeah, that's true. So.
But it's like, I mean, we can go on and on about plot devices,
plot conveniences.
Plot conveniences, right? Like the Hulk could easily beat Thor, but apparently in the MC Ragnarok, that wasn't the case.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, there's I mean, I guess my point is, I see that there was a guy who came up. I'm gonna have to look this up because I mentioned this with the Inception review, where there was a guy on YouTube, and again, I can't think of his name, and I'll put it up once I edit the video together. But so there's a thing here, like plot conveniences to me like this guy are acceptable and forgivable if when you're looking at the entire movie, you're having a good time with it and it's a good movie, So if you are on the fence with it, or if you don't like it, then it's called a plot convenience. It's called a plot hole. So
or Deus Machina.
Exactly, the Deus Machina. That is, where was it? There was a time. Oh, okay, because the one time, the Deus Machina is ridiculous at some point, and I think the best one that I actually really loved was I don't know, I really love King of the Monsters, the Godzilla movie.
Oh yeah.
And what sucked was, because I loved a lot of the battle sequences were like in the middle of a snowstorm or some kind of like weather conditions, and as forgettable as the plot story was with the family and everything, I enjoyed it. I liked the father a lot as an actor and all that stuff. So, and those are the complaints they had. Like the audience had a complaint that the battles were in murky visibility, and they thought that there was too much family story. So when they did Godzilla versus King Kong, they had a lot of the fights in the sunlight, and then they dumbed down the human element of it. So I really hate that movie, man. So yeah. So out of 1 to 10, what's your rating for it?
1 to 10. I'll probably give it a 7 out of 10.
Okay. I'm surprised you're not giving it a little higher, because I actually when I first saw it, I watched it, and then I actually just I wasn't planning on watching it again until you came up with the idea for it. And since I've rewatched it, I'll give it an 8 out of 10. Just the only reason that it's not higher is just because of the problems I've mentioned. But
well, yeah, I was leaning more towards 8 out of 10, but it's just some moves that they made, like although, like I said, this my thing is, it's like they try to make it so contemporary to where Damien is leading, when he's leading the Titans, it's Beast Boy, it's Wonder Girl. It's not the OG Titans. That's just my thing. And then we don't really see the whole Justice League roster. So, and then another thing I noticed too is, not to say I have a problem with it, but this kind of goes back to the race swapping. Jimmy Olsen is black in this.
Yeah, okay, well, there you go. Like when I posted that poster of Superman with his son on his back, and I made a word bubble saying just truth and justice in the American way, and I posted that on it was a Midnight Sedge on Facebook. One guy, and I was singing the praises for it, because it seemed like Warner Brothers and DC films, whatever the brand on screen, were kind of moving away from that.
Right.
When I put that up there, and some people were happy to see that. And a guy said, yes, Jimmy Olsen's black, and he said once he saw that, he just turned it off. Because so yeah, so it's it seems like no matter how much some of these products want to go back to the original kind of fanfare, if that's the word that I could use here, there's still some elements of modern day storytelling, if I could call it that. Yeah.
Right.
So there's and I think what's happening there is this is, maybe I'm being paranoid, or I think maybe, like, it seems like if you want to do anything in Hollywood these days, there is a superior power that dictates that kind of stuff, basically. I think that's why I don't know if you've seen the movie Glass.
Oh, that's the one with Sam Jackson.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I think that in spite of the fact that M. Night Shyamalan said that I believe he funded this himself. I think even though he said that, which makes you believe that he basically was in charge more than if he had to answer to a studio or something. In spite of that, I think he was forced to kill David Dunn. I don't think that was his idea. I'd like to think he's not that stupid, because that's like killing Superman, basically, you know. And granted, Zack Snyder did that, you know. But yeah, so anyway, okay, so 8 out of 10 for me.
Will be the next thing to review.
The next thing I might do is Tenet with art, possibly, which that's probably gonna break my mind considering how complicated that movie is. But I really love it, man. I was seeing that in IMAX during COVID, which meant there was nobody sitting next to me, was great, you know. Yeah, I guess we'll discuss whatever, you know, you and I want to do next and stuff. So, but until then, thanks for watching the video, and I'll see you on the next one.
Cool.